One of the next story I wanted to move to is in conjunction with how it is that the Israeli people are consenting to this war, and it's racism. Racism has been one of the most important forms of false consciousness developed by the capitalist class. Because even the notion of race is specific to the capitalist mode of life. The way we think about race today, that didn't exist before. That's a product of capitalism and a moment of capitalism where white indentured servants begin to ally with black slaves and other poor people in order to fight multiracial class struggles against slave owners and owners of capital in other forms. The question becomes, how do we divide them? Why? Because only when they're divided can we conquer them. Can we conquer them with ease? The ruling class, not just the capitalist one, it's needed to divide and conquer. That's the only way it sustains power. Weaken the enemy by dividing them. Fight them in piecemeal. Pitch them against each other. Have white workers do race riots and kill black workers. And so it created the notion of race in order to develop what it really wanted, which was racism, as a form of false consciousness that divides the people. And what we see here in Israel, again, as the personification, the agent of imperialism of this global capitalist system in the Middle East, is some of the more horrific forms of racism that I think even in the US we haven't seen in a while, thanks to the civil rights revolution, 1964. The consciousness of the American people has changed quite a bit. That's not to say that some of what we're about to witness doesn't still exist in the U.S. and these people are from the U.S. But just to get at how foundationally racist Zionism is, let's take a look at this. This was posted by Denver PSL. Shout out to them. This is the unmasked face of Zionism. Censorship added by us to prevent removal or blatant hate speech from social media. These two men stood together and smirked at our protests outside of the Global Conference for Israel held at the Colorado Convention Center. Zoom in, and yep, that's a badge from the conference. When we stand against Zionism, we stand against hate, against inhumanity, against genocide, and for freedom, life, and dignity. This is why we've opposed this conference in our city, and we will continue raising the call for a free Palestine and a ceasefire now. So I don't have to read this. You see what it says on the shirt. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. But this figure of these two entitled motherfuckers, these racist fucking scum, who are so stupid that don't realize that in their attempt to dehumanize other people, it becomes evident to anyone who could see two fingers in front of them and is not blinded by the poison of Zionist racist ideology. It becomes evident that he is just stooping himself at a level of inhumanity, as the comrades here say. They show their own inhumanity in their attempt to dehumanize other people. This is disgusting. This is disgusting. But it's not an outlier. It's definitely not an outlier. Look at how black African Jews are treated in Israel. Horrendously. The supremacy, it's not just Jewish, it's white Jewish people. Because the Ethiopian Jews are treated like shit in Israel. There's been videos shared around the internet that have gone viral of people condemning young women because they married a black person, and they throw out the derogatory terms that we see in this man's shirt. So that's Israeli racism, out in the open, proud. This person looks very proud. He's very cheerful. And it takes different forms. It's one of the centerpieces of the propaganda campaign has been the accusation that what Hamas is doing is raping women. That's something that in the uh, in the script that the Zionists have, that it sounds like you're turning on a repeat button whenever one of them goes after you. One of the central parts of their script for why you have to condemn Hamas and stand with Israel and support the genocide of the Palestinian people uh, is because supposedly Hamas was raping women on October 7th. That part of Al-Aqsa, the Al-Aqsa flood, was the raping of the hostages and etc. Without any question, to the fact that that would be completely uh, contrary to the moral principles of Islam that Hamas adheres to. But it's accepted. It's reiterated by the mainstream media. No one questions it. No one, at least within that mainstream media establishment. But guess what? Surprise, surprise, as Tim Anderson says, the Israeli rape claims against Palestinian resistance were fabricated. Mondoweiss is a liberal Jewish media in the US with reporters in occupied Palestine. And here's the article if anyone wants to read it. CNN reporting claiming sexual violence on October 7th relied on non credible witnesses, some with undisclosed ties to the Israeli government. What is that? What are they doing there? They are creating the sort of narrative, fabricating the lies, manufacturing, inventing reality in order to manufacture consent. That's the Parenti Chomsky dialectic. They invent reality to manufacture consent. And what's the invented reality here? Well, something as disgusting as rape. Every sensible human being in the world, when they hear about rape, again, their stomachs turn, they're appalled, they're disgusted. So paint this picture of disgusting inhumanity for what the people see in Hamas, and you might succeed in obtaining their consent because they'll be so disgusted. You would have touched their emotions that they put reason aside. They stop asking for evidence. They stop searching for evidence. They don't ask, well, is there any truth to that? Um, and then you're able to obtain their consent and continue doing the crimes that you have been doing. Especially, and it's successful in part, because it's not like this happened now, and now they have to get the machines going on crafting brand new narratives about Arab people. The racist, Islamophobic, anti-Arab remarks have been here basically the whole time. It's been conjoined as a necessary phenomenon of the capitalist system. People like Edward Said called it Orientalism, and um, it's been always present. We've seen it escalated since the so-called war on terror, which is a weird thing. You could wage war on a specific concrete thing. It's weird to say we're going to wage war on terror. Like, what the fuck does that mean? When does that war end? Um, but we all know the anti-Muslim sentiments that were pushed into the psyche of the American people, that were pushed into the psyche of the Israeli people. That, in the case of the Israelis, it was already there. But it's because people are already socialized to have all these assumptions that when shit like this comes out, they don't even question it. Why would they question it? They've grown up their whole life having this Orientalist view of how Arab people, of how Palestinian people are. So there's no need to question it. There's no need to question it. But what ends up happening all the fucking time? It's false. It's fabrications used to tweak the sentiments of people into supporting something that is horrific, but that benefits a small group of people that line the pockets of the narrative creators of the, as our friend Ramiro would say, of the spellcasters that take over people's minds and blind them to the truth and to reality. And what's interesting here is the element of projection. Well, let's look first, before I go to the clip I wanted to show. We showed a few, maybe a week ago or so, this gut-wrenching video of Israelis talking to Medea Benjamin. Shout out to Medea Benjamin, who was just standing there holding a sign that said "Jews for ceasefire now." And this is what they told her, again, on the basis of all these assumptions that have now been proven to be fabricated. So let's listen into what these folks told Medea.
I wish they will rape you alive. They will film you. Why don't you get kidnapped by them in Gaza and see if people come and save you? Because we should have a ceasefire and negotiate with terrorists. They're just going to say, oh, you stop bombing us, we'll stop bombing you. Here, take them back. Yeah, they'll just say, here, take them back.
Israel controls whether they have water, whether they have
No, we generously give them water. We generously give them
It's their land, my dear. It's their land that was taken from them.
Jesus was a Jew. Do you know that? He was born there. The Jews were there first.
Oh, there were no Palestinians there?
Read the Old Testament, read the New Testament.
I guess I know that there's
What was Jesus if not a Palestinian Jew? So it's so incredibly stupid, but it's disgusting. I'm sorry that, for those that saw it with me a couple weeks ago, I'm sorry you're seeing it again, but this is disgusting, and it is rooted on the fact that these people unquestionably accept all of these made up racist tropes about Muslim people and Palestinian people.
400 Palestinian villages that were destroyed in 1948. What's called the Nakba. Indigenous people.
So should we all be kidnapped and tortured, our babies put in an oven because we took it from the Native Americans?
None of those things that she said have been confirmed. It's literally an argument, the basis of which all of the premises are baseless. They're not rooted in facts.
But yet you're living here. I think we should torture you and your family. Let's cut open your stomach, take out your fetus and throw it in an oven and then smell it while they torture you and cut off your body parts and rape you, make you naked and drag you through the street.
I just wish your kids would be there.
Yeah, you are fucking so stupid.
I wish they will rape you alive. They will film you, and if your mother will be alive, they will send the video for your mother to see how you burn. That's what I wish. And if this is okay for you, so I don't know what you made from. It's terrible.
Put yourself, I'm sure you won't be able to, but imagine how low you have to stoop, how much of your humanity you have to let go of in order for someone holding up a sign whose goal is to convince people to stop bombing babies. And then you go up to that person and you tell them, I wish you were raped, I wish they recorded it, and I wish they sent it to your mother. I can't even get into the headspace of how something that disgusting would come to my mind, let alone let it be the retort that I use against someone arguing for peace. That's the propaganda brainwashing machine. It's blinded these people and it's removed them. It's kidnapped the most basic human instincts, which is to care. Anyone opens Twitter or social media and sees what the Palestinian people are going through, and their heart breaks. It's a test of your humanity, whether you can watch one of those videos or watch, scroll and see through them and not have your heart break, not be moved, not be filled with rage and the sadness of not being able to do more. Yet these people not only do not feel that, they celebrate it. As we mentioned with the story of the Israeli telegram, where they have a telegram where they literally cheer all of these crimes and dead bodies and kids missing limbs, they cheer that on. It's almost no, it is. It's atrocity porn. It's atrocity porn. So just like, how much of your humanity do you have to give up to get to that point? So I don't think we got to listen to that any longer. But I wanted to turn to the reflection that Comrade Danny gave on Twitter concerning these tropes, because I think it's on the money. Danny says here, you want to talk about tropes? The myth of the savage Arab rapist was the very foundation of Orientalism, which provided the racist ideological justification for the white man's burden and colonialism. We have to go civilize them. Its modern iteration is Islamophobia. The fake rape charges are the next phase of disinformation against Gaza and Palestine. And you know what's interesting about it all? That a good chunk of it is rooted in pure projection. While on the one hand, they can't find or provide any of the evidence of Hamas doing the things that they claim, on the other hand, they have this sort of shit going on. This is from Dan Cohen. He says, Amid Eyal Karim's appointment as Israeli military chief rabbi, scandal erupted over his writings permitting soldiers to rape women during wartime. Did you guys hear that correctly? So who's the one? It's the same thing. When they were saying from the start, Hamas is using their people as human shields. No evidence shown for that. But what do we do have evidence for? The IOF, the Israeli Occupational Forces, using a Palestinian hostage as a literal fucking human shield. There's videos of this. We've reacted to this. We've shown it. So it's just projecting. And then victimizing yourself. I'm the victim. And you ascribe all of the characteristics of the evil shit you do to the enemy. So again, part of that narrative that was just debunked, confirmed to be false and baseless, of Hamas raping women, here's Israel's military chief rabbi saying that during wartime, it is legitimate for soldiers to rape women. 150 Zionist rabbis wrote in support of him, stating that, quote, the attempt to disqualify the rabbi's appointment due to his legitimate Torah positions is an attempt that will severely harm the entire Torah world in the state of Israel and the Israeli Defense Forces. Karim is now a brigadier general giving spiritual guidance to Israeli soldiers terrorizing Gaza. So the fucking guy giving spiritual guidance to Israeli soldiers has argued that they have the right to rape women. Do you guys see how the whole narrative is pure projection? It's pure lies. It's deeply rooted in racism and the capitalist imperialist system. This is disgusting. You won't find this in any Hamas charter. And I'm not a Muslim, Hamas is the organization that organically sprung up after a bunch of other leftist militant groups were destroyed basically by Israel's battle against them. Their leaders kidnapped, jailed, killed. Hamas is the organization that the Palestinian people in their anti-colonial struggle decided to go with, which is hard to say decided, as if there was other alternatives. It's the only alternative that the occupying force left them. So I'm not a Muslim, but this is something that I have never seen anywhere near that from the Palestinians or from Hamas. All they can pull out from the charter, from Hamas's charter, is the fact that they wanted an end to the apartheid state of Israel. And then do the traditional equating of Israel with Jewish people and say that they wanted an end to Jewish people. So a bending of their argument. Can you imagine if the Hamas charter actually had something like this? It'd be blowing up. It'd be 24/7 on the mainstream news media agenda. So, again, pure, pure projection, pure imperialist lies, hypocrisy, and just disgusting overall. Okay, so that's that segment. Thank you so much, Eric Elmore, for the $10 super chat. The Institute is grassroots, people's funded, so these are tremendously appreciated, and we couldn't do a fraction of what we do without your financial support and the other forms of support that you all provide. So thank you so much. I just think it's part of capitalism to promote racism, right? That separates people. So they keep people separated, and that keeps them from thinking about the real problem. Richard Pryor, absolutely. I've seen that interview. It's I'm gonna. Here's a quote from Carlos Martinez. You cannot have, and it's a reformulation of a quote from, I believe it was Malcolm X. You cannot have capitalism without racism. You cannot have socialism with racism. Capitalism needs racism. It needs to systematically have the people that can overthrow the existing structure of society otherize each other so that they're disconnected, fighting amongst themselves, and unable to come together and fight against their real enemy, which is the capitalist class. It's a systematic feature of capitalism. Capitalism could not survive if the elite, if the spellcasters, the narrative spinners were not doing everything they could as good bourgeois ideologues to have the people divide themselves. That's why you listen to the slogans that come from revolutionary movements. Think of Inti Ilmani from Chile. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. The people united will never be defeated. It is unity, the unity of the people, unity of our class, and of the classes that stand in a non-antagonistic relationship to our class. It is that unity upon which we can have a revolutionary overthrow of the existing exploitative, oppressive, racist, imperialist order. So thank you so much, Eric Elmore, and that's a terrific quote from the brilliant Richard Pryor.